Hello and welcome to Optimal Game State. I hope you had a great December. I certainly had a nice one with family and friends and a little bit of sickness, unfortunately, but we're over that now. So in this video, we're going to have a quick look at all the releases for the specialist games that came out in December. December is usually a quiet month for Games Workshop. So there were a couple of Saturdays in which there basically was nothing. I think for one, they had some old 40k scenery, and stuff like that. But we're going to try get through and see what we had, because they did actually have some interesting releases. So the first up was Brutal and Cunning, which was the new release for Kill Team. So that's the one on the left with the orcs and the rattlings. And that had two kill teams and a little bit of scenery that's supposed to kind of supplement the previous box. We also had all the releases for the previous box, so it's broken out into those two kill teams. So the Tempest Aquilians and the Vespids, and then the Killzone Vulcus. So you can now get those all separate. Obviously, they're going to be a little bit more expensive than they were if you got the combined box, but Along with that, Kill Team also had the remainder of the boxes. So these are all the existing Kill Teams that they had released before. The only real difference in this is they added in some tokens, which is nice, and then they upped the price a good chunk. GW, it is what it is. But the good news is all of these are now out and available. For a long time, often these would kind of sell out straight away. And, some of them are probably going to be selling out pretty fast. What do we have? Any particular ones in there? The Extraction Squad, as an example, tend to be quite a popular set of models just because they're lovely, and hopefully they're still in stock for a little longer. With all of those boxes, we did get all of the data cards for all of them. Now, I've only got two of those here because these are the Plague Marines and the Angels of Death. They didn't have a separate box release. They came uniquely with the new starter box. So the starter box, which went out of stock quite fast, it did have the old models from the Heroes ranges. Now, the kind of key part for that is these models aren't necessarily specific. You can custom build and make your own ones. I particularly like the Angels of Death because you can take your existing Space Marine collection, your Stardust collection, and then work around that. So I think that's one of the few packs that I picked up so far. And then the Plague Marines just generally are a nice addition because a lot of people are fans of the Plague Marines. Along with that, and of particular interest for me, this month GW did release a PvE pack. So the new edition does have some PvE rules, which is kind of a new part to it, and they've started doing a few PDF packs that let you kind of play out parts of it. So in the November month, we did have a sniper pack that went along with the Thanksgiving rattling models, and now we have this Lieutenant Titus mission pack. Separately, they did release the Lieutenant Titus as a standalone in the GW stores. I'm not sure if you can still get them. Some of them might still have it. And one of the nice things about it is you got a little bit of a voucher to go along with it. So the price was a little bit defrayed. I'm not actually a fan of the model. I did pick up the model, but my plan is to chop up into bits and then try to do a different pose with, the same style and same button. Basically, just try to do Titus. This particular pack, you have Titus and you've got two buddies, and then they're up against a bunch of Tyranids. One of the cool things about that is that the Tyranids don't have a kill team at the moment. So this gives you some rules that you could play with them. Obviously, they're not tournament ready. But it does mean that you can get some Space Marines down and some Tyranids and play a game. One of the interesting parts for me about this is, and I might do a video on this at some point, there is a problem with 40k, and the problem is Space Marines. So Space Marines, like we have in the Space Marine 2 game, or like we have in some of the stories, or the Secret Weapon episode, you do not need a lot of Space Marines to create a lot of chaos. You send in one Space Marine to deal with a city. You send in 5 Space Marines to deal with a planet kind of idea. It just doesn't translate well onto the war game where you try to sell as many Space Marines as you can. But in story, they're often portrayed in that way. They're often portrayed to be these absolute complete badasses. And you can have one of them going in and just being an unstoppable force, which I think is really, really cool for the story in the background. But that doesn't necessarily line up. This is very, very cool. We have just 3 Space Marines. So we've got Titus and his two buddies going up against wave after wave of turrets, and the story makes a little bit more sense, and it's a bit of fun. So this is one of the packs that I do want to do. Obviously, I have already taken my Death Watch models, and I have put them on the table, and I faced them off against some Termagants, and we did a video on that. This one's a little bit more refined, maybe, because we're not taking it straight from the kind of standard ones, and obviously the Termagants and Hormagants that they have in this are a little bit more tailored, and you can see that they've got their own behavior on the card, which I think is very cool. Anyway, love these. Hopefully we'll see a lot more of these. I do think there is one coming up in the next White Dwarf, so we'll keep an eye for that. We already knew about this because it was in a part of a bigger pack, I think. Were they? No, the walkers weren't. Okay, so this is the first release of these dark Mechanicum walkers. So very, very cool models. Super, super creepy. What's really interesting about them is they do actually have rules for Titanicus. So Titanicus technically is still a supported game, even though you won't find Titanicus boxes anymore. So I mean, if you're interested in the dark Mechanicum for either faction, some fun stuff. Along with that, we do get the Civitas Imperialis Elevated Plaza, which I think is absolutely beautiful. So there are two tiles of this. It is basically just a plastic tile, and then the middle parts are lifted up. So there's a bit of verticality in it. I did not pick up. I do not like. I disagree with the actual proper tiles. So if I recall right, the tiles I think have, is it 6 to a pack? But you need 3 packs of them to field like a standard battle. And along with that, they're in the region of like $100 each. So, I mean, what, $300 for just a board? It's excessive, especially when you can get a mat, which is arguably a nicer playing experience and significantly cheaper and easier to store, all sorts of reasons. Anyway, if you have money to burn, this looks great. I've seen people paint these and assemble them, and it looks absolutely fantastic with some of the building on it. Looks really, really like the stuff that you'll see at Warhammer World. So very, very cool. Along with that, we obviously have started getting the single box releases of the AdMech. No, they are Mechanicum in this, not the AdMech. So so this was the first one, and as of the Saturday that I'm recording this, which is the 4th of January, we have also got pre-orders up for the remainder of the parts of that. So we're slowly rolling out the bits and pieces from the bigger box. Before, you kind of need to pick up 2 of the bigger boxes, but now you can kind of chop and change, which is kind of cool, especially for if you're looking for the Dark Mechanicum, which has a kind of a different set of requirements and doesn't necessarily use. I don't think they use this, for example. I'm not entirely sure. Over with Necromunda, we had a big release. We had a very, very cool release. So we've got the Halls of the Ancients, which gives you all the rules you need for the squats. Yeah, for these mining contingents that all exist on Necromunda. I haven't got my hands on the book yet, so I'm not entirely sure what's in it, but it does sound like there's a little bit more of the kind of backstory and lore to Necromunda itself, because these would have been the original groups of squats that would have got rights, prospectors' rights on big kind of swathes of the planet when things were originally getting set down. So it kind of sounds like we might be able to get some kind of cool backstory and fun stuff in it. Importantly, what do we have in this? Yeah, importantly, we've got the upgrade kit. So the upgrade kit is something that's kind of unique to Necromunda these days. It used to be something you could get for some of the other games, but basically because you have the default box of the squad prospectors, the Ironheads, and now you've got this optional extra bit. You get tons of different weapons, different heads, different bits and pieces. So yeah, it has really fleshed the squats in Necromunda into a full faction. Now they have almost everything that everyone else gets. So yeah, because these big chunky boys that we have in the middle would be kind of their specialist pack. And then they've also got some vehicles in there if you want to do it in the Outlands. Great to see. cool stuff. Necromunda is one of my favorite lines, and it like the story in the background I feel is real 40k, less so than perhaps the kind of more commercialized 40k, if that makes sense. It's dark. It's got lots of fun elements to it. Over with Blood Bowl, we didn't technically have any releases, but I just want to mention this holiday special PDF that they released. Probably a little bit too late for you now, because we're already in January, but this was a set of rules that you could play around Christmas, which I think is very cool. It also gave you rules on how to play the Red Gobbo as using the model with the snowman, presumably make them separate and have them kind of just a star player that you can take. There's lots of rules around the weather and special play or things that can happen, kickoff rules, and they've got snowball rules. So it's like super fun, super casual, and if you wanted to, you could definitely put together a kind of Christmas themed game, and definitely something I enjoy for some of the other games. I haven't done it for Blood Bowl yet. I think Blood Bowl might be a good Halloween game as well, because you can do your undead versus your vampires or whatever. But yeah, for a Christmas special, it also looks good. I haven't seen the snow pitch for quite a while, though. It would be great if they'd actually re-release one of those. Yeah, so I mean, if you're a big Blood Bowl fan, you can have a fun, non-serious piss take game around Christmas with one of your friends, and I think that's very, very cool. And all it was just GW guys putting together this PDF pack and putting a little bit of love into it, and then throwing it up. No one cares that it's going to be a little bit imbalanced and it's going to be a bit crazy, because it's just about having some fun. All right, and that was everything for December. So as you can see, we've got Kill Team, Necromunda, and Imperialis were the ones that featured there. Warhammer Worlds just got its big release. I didn't put anything for Blood Bowl. Did Blood Bowl get a release? Blood Bowl is about to get, or has just got a release of the annual, so that'll be ticking off January. Warcry hasn't got anything recently, and that December, as I said before, is a little bit misleading, as Warcry tends to get some really, really great PDF updates with the FAQ. So it'll seem like a minor update, but then they'll get like 4 or 5 brand new factions using all the existing AOS models. So Warcry doesn't necessarily need to have a box to be supported. It can actually get a really fantastic release without having to have a box. This year, of course, is a speculation over what's going to happen. We think Norwood has finished up, and we think we're going into something new. I'll probably talk about it in another video, but speculation is we're going to get a new box set, the new starter box, as it were. So that'll be 2 new warbands and some scenery and new rules. Hopefully the new rules are relatively similar to what we have at the moment. I don't think there really needs to be much of a change. The rules are really, really solid. We might see stuff like incorporating the divine blessings in properly. We might see a tweak and an update. So we could have a new PDF release where they update all of the warbands, which would be cool. Just like a few tweaks here and there. Alternatively, they could decide to go a different direction, and they could decide just to support maybe 10 warbands. So the old rules won't get updated, and we'll just have a new set of rules for just 10 warbands, and we just play those 10 warbands. Where that setting could be is, again, up in the air. Ravage Coast has been mentioned, so we could get a nautical themed. We could get pirates. Alternatively, it could be set in Emberguard, in which case we'd have more of a cityscape. I know a lot of people are kind of hoping for that. Personally, I would love to see them to do a city-based Necromunda styled one. So I think Emberguard would be great for that. Unlikely. I suspect we'll probably be more likely to go down the Ravage Coast idea. Although we did do that in one of the White Dwarfs. So yeah, I mean, look, we'll wait and see. Don't worry about no releases for Warcry. We are going to have a bit of a break as we're building up for the new next big thing. So if you're a Warcry fan, just keep painting miniatures, keep playing your games, enjoy what you have while you have it, and if you can kind of paint up everything you have at the moment and buy all the ones that you're currently interested in, then you'll be ready for the new edition. And yeah, all right, yeah. So that was December. Yeah, looking forward to 2025. Hopefully, it'll be a good year for you. Hopefully, a good year for GW Gaming.
Thanks for making it all the way to the end. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Each week I put up a new video talking about one of Games Workshop's specialist games. The goal is always to try and make the best possible two-player experience. If this is something you'd find interesting, please subscribe to the channel and comment to let me know what you'd like to see in future.